What do I mean by things are getting real? Well, censorship, for one thing. Social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google are starting to really crack down on anyone who does not follow their politically correct, progressive, liberal agenda. And it's the little guy, it's the big guy, it's the little fish in the pond, it's the big guys in the pond. The big guys in the pond obviously probably have the money to sue over said situation, so a lot of times they're still around even after they start to harass them and give them a hard time. Little guys like me, where I don't really use my YouTube channel too much, so I don't have issue. But my Facebook, I run several pages and groups on Facebook. From my profile that I've had for the last 9 years, give or take, which recently got shut down. They claim unusual activity was the cause. What they are saying is unusual activity is me posting to my own groups. They just don't like what I'm posting. When did America get censored? Well, when America is owned by a bunch of liberal crybabies, yeah, it gets censored. I know, you're not supposed to talk about this stuff. I don't give a hoot, okay? I'm not gonna swear. Well, I might swear. But I don't care what anybody's opinion is. I don't care if I offend you. I have freedom of speech, my constitutional right to say what the heck I want, when the heck I want, and to who the heck I want. And if you don't like it, you can kiss my you-know-what. And that's just plain and simple how it is. And in turn, you have the right to say whatever you want, to whomever you want, whenever you want. Now, the thing is that in doing so, you have to accept the responsibility of what might occur if you say the wrong thing to the wrong person. That's something that our parents, at least in my generation, taught us, called knowing when to say something and knowing when to shut up. And also having some manners and sense. Okay? You don't go around saying a bunch of things to a group of people that you know will purposefully start a riot. Okay? Unless you want to get your ass kicked, that, oop, I swore. But seriously, I mean, that's not the point. The point is, if I believe in a political ideal, like the Second Amendment, I have every right to speak about it, I have every right to promote it, I have every right to defend it. And if you don't like that, go somewhere else. Because that is constitutional law in our country. And I can talk about it anytime, anywhere that I want to. Debating a topic is how people work out what is socially agreeable with an entire group of people. If you can't speak about a topic, if you can't discuss a topic, then that is totalitarian, and that is what the liberal progressive side is. They are the fascists. They are the totalitarians. They are the people who are trying to keep you down. And that is how the situation is. Politically correct is just another name for you can't say this because if you do, I will destroy you. You know, every time now, and I'm saying this because I'm on my old account on Facebook, that when Facebook first opened, I had MySpace, I had a group of people on there, and I was, let me move around a little bit. I was campaigning for Ron Paul, okay? And the people on there that I had no problem with me campaigning for Ron Paul. They had no problem with me promoting my artwork or my music or my poetry or my jewelry making that I did or discussing any kind of oddball topic that I was interested in. Nobody went around and said, oh, you can't say that, it's not politically correct. Facebook opens up. And Facebook was nothing. It was like Twitter without pictures, and you couldn't even really do much of anything on there. And what I didn't like about it was they wanted your real name. And I thought to myself, this does not bode well. Being on the internet anonymously, being on the internet anonymously was what kept people comfortable speaking their mind. Having avatars, not necessarily having to show your face. But Facebook has gotten down to the point where now you have to give them as much information about yourself as you would if you were applying for a job. I mean, next thing you know, they'll be asking for your social security number. In the past year, I have been asked for my ID and a piece of mail to keep my account open, several selfies, a phone number, email addresses, additional email addresses, and each time that I come out of being banned from signing into my account, because they just randomly shut me down in the middle of the day or night, and they'll say, oh, we've signed you out. There's strange activity on your account. We need a security check. This isn't a security check. This is just your way of shutting me up. This is a way of censoring me. I am not stupid, okay? Maybe all your other members out there who you do this to are stupid, but I am not a dummy. I know exactly what you're doing. And so, this has been happening to me over and over and over again all year. During the Ron Paul campaign, I never had issues with MySpace. I never had issues with anything. You know, I move over to Facebook. A few years later, Facebook takes off. It goes through its Farmville phase, and it goes into the Obama election era, and it started getting political. And people were starting to use it as a platform to get their political ideas out there. And I thought it was awesome, because this is supposed to be a country run by the people for the people, and it was actually allowing the people to discuss political topics and to spread news and information and data and ideas. And, you know, on a daily basis, how many people do you know that you run into that you can actually have a conversation with about some political ideal without, you know, the old thing of, you know, the only topics you never talk to people about is religion and politics. Basically, you know, if you don't want to wind up getting in a fight with some random stranger, you don't bring up religion and politics. But on Facebook, you could bring up anything you wanted to. And so, in 2015, when we knew that there was going to be another presidential race and we knew that Hillary Clinton was going to be running, people that I knew in my groups that I was already running at the time. I have been running for a couple of years. My page, Sheeple Dogs Truth Human Lives Matter, which used to be just the Sheeple Dogs, and my group, Truth Human Lives Matter, my group, Citizen Cyber Militia, my group recently opened, Trump Troopers 2018 Anti-Troll, and my local group, which is a libertarian local group, which I won't mention because you're probably not local. These groups I never had any problems with. During the campaign, I was home. I was basically, what I was doing was micro farming and posting on the internet, campaigning for Donald Trump, and making videos and contacting people and building my groups up and spreading information and trying to you know, affect an election. I was trying to get rid of this horrible, progressive, crazy, loony life we've been living under Obama. And, you know, the only way I could see to do that was to use social media to get there. And so that's what I did. Me and thousands of other people, every day, posting non-stop, blam, blam, article, video, memes and more memes, saturating the Facebook and Twitter with as much of it as we possibly could to get the information out there. And between that and Trump going out and campaigning, we won. I was just watching a video for Mike Cernovich and Stefan Molyneux and a couple other well-known people in our movement had a freedom meeting, a freedom party, basically, recently. And he said that, you know, it's like having a crazy ex-girlfriend and breaking up with the crazy ex-girlfriend. And for the next year, the crazy ex-girlfriend is slashing your tires and poisoning your cat and, you know, spreading rumors about you and trying to make you wreck your car and, you know, just doing all sorts of crazy things just to screw you up. And that's exactly what the Democrats are doing to the Republicans. They're acting like the crazy ex-girlfriend who you broke up with, who will not leave you alone. They're not going to help you get anywhere. They're not going to do anything that will benefit you. And it's not about that. And Trump's speech in the State of the Union last night basically stated that, you know, he wants to work bipartisanly with these people. And then they come on afterwards and they say, he didn't want to work with us, blah, blah, blah. They're such lying sacks of dog doo-doo, okay? These people do not, they will lie to you straight to your face after you just listened to something. If you just heard it 5 minutes ago, they will tell you that's not what was said. Because they know that they have a bubble of people. And they are not going to get, you know, everybody, but they're going to get a good portion of the people who are not going to hear the true statements. They're only going to hear what their mouthpieces in the Democratic Party are going to say. So they'll listen to them, and then that's where they'll get their information. They won't ever go look for the truth. They're only getting the propaganda and lies that they're being fed. And, you know, that's how they are playing their game. They are the crazy ex-girlfriend, and we are defending ourselves against them on a non-stop, daily basis. Except they own the media. They own Hollywood. They own all the social media. Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. They own it. And we used Facebook and Twitter to win the election, and they don't want us to be able to do that. They don't want us to be able to get a message across. So every time I post something on Facebook, particularly, because I don't use my Twitter very often, only when my Facebook's down, but when I post something on Facebook, and it can be even something as simple as my dog was really cute one night, and I took a picture of him. He was sleeping, and he was dreaming, and his eyeballs were moving, and I was taking a little video of him, and at the end of the video, I woke him up just a little bit, and he looks at me out of one eye like this, and goes, and puts his paw over his face. And I was like, that's so cute. And I made a meme out of it. And I run a group for hairless dogs, and I shared it because he's a Zolo. And I shared it to the group, the little meme. And when I shared it to the group, he, you know, like, within 24 hours, it was marked as spam. It doesn't even matter what I share, as long as it's me sharing it, and I'm sharing it to a group. Even if I am the admin and the creator of the group, they mark my stuff as spam. I must be on some algorithm watch list, because during the election, I was posting probably, wow, that was some loss of light there. I don't know what happened, but the light bulb went bloop. It's kind of bright. Anyway, during the election cycle, you know, trying to get Trump elected, I was posting every single day, from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep, with minor breaks to go out and weed my garden, take care of my chickens, feed my dogs, do some, I don't know what's going on with this lamp. It keeps going, come on, lamp, stop being like that. Anyway, very weird lamp. Alright, lamp. I don't know why it's acting up. Maybe it doesn't like being on its side. Or maybe the bulb's about to blow. I don't know. Alright, so you're not going to be able to see me very well, but you can still hear me. Anyway, during the election, I was posting probably 200 articles a day, and I was sharing them to about 50 to 75 Facebook groups a day, and then I was also sharing them to Twitter and Blogger and you know, a bunch of other things, Google Plus, and I was posting media all over the place every single day, hundreds and hundreds of posts, reaching probably close to 1 million people a day. And you know, I don't know if anybody, you know, knows me by that or anything, but I had a lot of followers. I had almost 900 followers on my account, and I had over 900 friends, and I had a couple thousand people in each of my groups, and you know, I had a reach with the other groups that I was members of, who had tens of thousands in those groups, and I was, you know, sharing to everybody, and had a lot of contact with a lot of people on a daily basis. So I was probably reaching at least, I don't know, anywhere between 30,000 and several 100,000 people a day. And then all of a sudden I started getting viral videos I was posting. And when I started getting viral videos, I started getting blocked from posting to groups. And I thought at first that it was because I wasn't paying them to make my videos go viral, which partially might have been the issue. I wasn't boosting my videos, I was sharing them, and other people were sharing them and liking them, and you know, so I figured, well, maybe that's what it was. But I don't think that's what it was. I think they finally figured out the algorithm to keep me from posting, because I was posting pro-Trump, elect Trump campaign information and factual news that the mainstream Mockingbird media won't post. You know, I'm no Alex Jones or Mike Cernovich or Stephen Molyneux or Molyneux. Gabrielle. I've heard the name pronounced a couple different ways, but I love Stefan. I'm not big like them. I may be someday. You know, it takes work. It takes a lot of work to create a following. And a couple weeks ago, I got completely banned from my account. And I went through the whole process of unlocking my account, and it kept going back to, you have to put in something with an old phone number I don't have anymore. I even went to the extent of texting my old phone number that I don't have anymore and saying, hey, you've got this phone number, would you please take, into account, if I have the code texted to you, would you please send it back to me? But nobody ever replied. So, I don't know what the deal with that was, if nobody owns that phone or what. And I really hate that you can't see me. Let me see if I can get this lamp to act normal again. It's not really meant to be on its side like that. That's probably why. Yeah, it just does not like being on its side. And I don't... No, that's better than it was. We'll see if it stays on like that. Anyway, I just don't know, what exactly what we can do as patriots, as Trump supporters, as conservatives, as libertarians, as people fighting in this civil war that we are going through right now. We're not really fighting against the trolley liberals. They're just minions of the big picture, and the big picture is globalism. And globalists are using these people, and the people don't even realize they're being used. They think everything that they have learned and think they know is the truth. And what they know is a bunch of lies. And they think we're liars, because when you tell somebody who believes in truth wholeheartedly, the real truth, they can't handle it. It's cognitive dissonance, and they have formed a whole lifestyle and personality and persona around these fake facts, fake news, CNN, the Russian narrative, all this stuff. And when you break it down, when it falls apart, they don't know what to do with themselves. It's going to be really bad for them when things like the memo come out in the next few days, because they're going to see that all these people that they've been backing and supporting are really corrupt, and somebody is going to jail. I know somebody's going to prison. Maybe a few somebodies. And it might be some really big somebodies. It's... And they don't believe it. And they don't even after it happens, even after something happens, they don't own up. They can't face the facts. They can't deal with reality. They're living in this fantasy bubble built for them by the liberal left, progressive media. And if you don't understand how it works, go look up Operation Mockingbird. Go on YouTube and watch some videos on Operation Mockingbird. The CIA created this propaganda system during the Cold War, and in the 70s, somebody said, hey, what's going on with this blah 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 blah, and they brought it up to a tribunal, and they talked about it, but they never shut the thing down. It's still there. The CIA has been running all sorts of covert operations for a really long time. Things that, like, let me see if I can get this lamp to work functionally. Okay. Like MK Ultra, crazy stuff. The LSD projects, things that they did during the 60s and 70s. They're not good people. Now, maybe the agents themselves, I can see some of them being okay people, but I've heard horror stories from people who work there. I've heard stories of things that have been going on for a really long time that aren't on the up and up. They've been involved with drug trafficking. They've been involved with all sorts of covert plans to basically direct the government. Instead of the government directing them, they are directing the government. It's just like the NSA collecting every bit of your data. By the way, F you, NSA. They probably know more about me than I know about me. It's a dirty world we live in. It's a corrupt, noxious, nasty, stinking swamp. And it's going to take an awful lot to drain that swamp. It's going to take years to scrub that swamp, to actually clean it, to actually get the corruption out. What you got to watch out for is once you get the big corruption out, all these little fish that were in the pond, they're either going to do one or two things. They're either going to bend to the will of those who've won, but always be mildly corrupt underneath, or they're going to try to become the big fish themselves. It's not going to go away anytime soon. And we have to be very aware. We need to vote people out. We need term limits on politicians. And, politics should not be something you get a lifetime payment for. People who are politicians should know that they have to go back into the workforce after their term limit is over. It is a service to the country. It should be almost like a volunteer service to the country. You should so badly want to represent the people of your state or city or county that you would do it for nothing. Or practically nothing. Minor living expenses. Nobody should be making it rich off of politics. And that's one of the main problems. And the liberals all think that this is a democracy. No, this is a democratic republic. We have laws in place to keep things like totalitarian rule. Sorry, I don't know. I'm just tired. Totalitarian rule by like California and New York by population. We have the Electoral College put in place so that the entire country is represented in an election. But these people, abolish it. Well, a couple years back, 7, 8, 10 years ago, I was all on board with the abolishing the Electoral College. Until I learned why it was in place. Until I actually did some research and understood why our forefathers put that in place. Why that was a constitutional law. And when you don't have something like checks and balances like that, you have places that have mass amounts of population. At the time when they put it in the law, it was probably Boston, various places on the East Coast, 13 colonies. But if you don't have checks and balances like that and represent the small people, the little people, the areas where there are small groups of people, you will have big cities with mass populations who have been all kind of bubble brainwashed into believing the same thing by their social order. So like if you've got a school, for instance, a high school, and the high school, everybody in the high school says, this color, wearing this color means you're this, and wearing that color means you're that, and wearing that color means you're that, okay? So if you don't want to be this and that, you don't wear those two colors to school, right? If you don't want to be judged by your peers. Well, in a city, it's just a bigger version of that. And I can say this from my personal experience. For several years, I was involved in New Age groups, Wicca. I was a priestess and a registered minister, and I did a lot of festivals and powwows and things with my business, with my jewelry that I made, and crystal and mineral samples and books and jewelry and, you know, just different stuff. Hand-painted drums. And there's certain social order within that group. It's like a church, like going to a Christian or a Baptist church or, you know, a Catholic church. Dogma, rules. You get judged by people in your peer group. So if you got people on, say, the East Coast, and one person says, oh, I don't think people should have big dogs in apartments, you know, and then two people get discussing it and go, yeah, you know, I had an experience with somebody who had a big dog in an apartment that I rented out, and they dog tore everything up, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, these two people are talking at their office job. And these people talk around the water cooler. Someone else hears them, and they hear the story, and they go, you know, you're right, big dogs don't belong in apartments. And after a week or 2 or 5 or a month and a year, that everybody in that office, if you asked them what they thought about big dogs in apartments, they would say, you know, it's got its good and bad points, but I don't think big dogs should be in apartments. Shunning. It's what the Christian church has been doing for hundreds of years. It's a control mechanism for controlling people. All you have to do is inject an idea like that into a city. Inject into a city that you shouldn't judge people who are, you know, have mental issues and want to be the opposite sex of what they are. No one is born without. There are a few genetic things that, like being a chimera, where you have both genetic, you know, sets of genes that make you male and female at the same time, and that is a real thing. Okay, but no one is born with going into life going, you know, I'm going to have my sex organs cut off and changed, you know, and these are ideas that are implanted by social orders. Somebody may say, well, you know, I'm a dude and I just feel like a little more feminine, or maybe I'm you know, whatever. I don't feel like a masculine guy, you know, and then as time goes on, they get around a group of people, and that group of people has their own little bubble of social order, and they go, oh, well, you know, we're having this drag show, blah, blah, blah. Why don't you try out for it? And then the guy comes in there and he gets involved, and the social order says this is acceptable, and these things aren't acceptable, and to judge me for these things is unacceptable, and anybody who judges me for what I'm doing is unacceptable, and, you know, but deep down inside, that person who felt that original feeling might actually have been emotionally abused, sexually abused, had some sort of chemical imbalance. There's something there that caused them to step out of the norm and into that fucking lifestyle. And you're not addressing those issues. Just like we don't address obesity, you know, this fat shaming. Well, that's not healthy to be heavy. It shortens your life. It makes it so you have a hard time having children if you're a woman. It messes with your circulatory system in your heart. It's not good for your health. And people are like, oh, don't fat shame. Don't make people feel bad about their weight. People are beautiful no matter what the weight they are. Well, yes, you can be beautiful inside, in your heart and soul. But if you are obese and you're obese because you overeat, because you have an emotional issue, you're not dealing with the reason of the problem. You're only exacerbating it. You're making a problem into a bigger problem. Now you're basically causing yourself major health issues because maybe somebody in your childhood treated you improperly. I mean, as a society, we're not fixing the issues. It's the same as the pharmaceutical companies. They make drugs, that don't cure, they mask problems. They don't solve problems, they create patience. You know, they don't want to cure you, they want to get you hooked on their product. And it's the same thing in all these kinds of situations. They don't want to give you a cure for something. They don't want, you know, it was like the war on drugs. People went out there and they were, you know, in need of something in their lives that changed to mask their hurt, to take away boredom, to take away unhappiness, to take away whatever it is. They went to alcohol, they went to drugs, they went to more drugs. They went to the wrong drugs, they got addicted to them. Then they became so addicted to them that they created more of an issue where they had to do horrible things to get the drugs. And then, you know, the war on drugs comes along and goes, we're going to arrest you and throw you in jail and create more problems in your life. Instead of, what was originally wrong that led you here? What was the base cause of this issue that led you here? And that's the problem. We don't ever look at the base cause of something. We always look at the result of the situation. And we try to treat the result with the wrong treatment. And it's the same thing with pharmaceuticals. It's the same thing with societal issues. We're not treating the problem with logic. We are masking the problem with placebos and candy and, you know, painkillers and all sorts of stuff like that, and things that are like those things. You know, overeating is like a painkiller for emotional distress, or undereating for that matter. I mean, we're not treating the problem of why are you doing this? We're, you know, and that's the same. It's our whole society. Society is completely screwed the heck up. And I doubt anybody's ever going to listen to this video, but these are my thoughts on things. So, you know, I'll let you ban me for my thoughts on things, but I don't have a problem with, you know, speaking my mind on subjects. I will tell you how I feel about something if you ask or if you don't. And if you don't like it, well, I'm sorry, but that is my thoughts on it. That's my observations. That's what I've seen. That's what I've researched. That's what I've looked into. That's what I've studied. I've taken psychology classes. I've watched people. I've studied people. I've had many friendships and relationships where I've observed situations that are absolutely ridiculous and thought to myself, why can't people see this logic? Why can't people stop being vile to each other? Why can't they stop these perpetual loops of abuse? And it's everywhere. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's abuse of the self, abuse of people around you. And, you know, the liberal, progressive garbage that's going on right now is like a bunch of abusers. They virtue signal to make themselves feel like better people, and they go around and they make you try to make you conform to their ideals. But their ideals are not based in any logic. Their ideals are based in like a sickness of the mind that's been perpetuated on them by people with agendas that want to control the population, and they're using their tools, their pawns, you know, and it's like the whole MK Ultra program was basically to see if they could break people down to be able to use them as pawns. Well, it's like they figured out a way to break people down as a society to use them as pawns via fluoride in the water and propaganda on television and ultra brainwashing in high school and grade school and college. Oh my God. I'm so glad that when I went to college it wasn't like it is now. But you know, that it's the same tactics they use in the military. They get you in there in basic training, they tear you down to build you up in the format they want you in. and they're doing the same thing to society, and it's the people that aren't falling for it. It's the people like me, people like maybe you, who didn't fall for it, who said, wait a minute here, this isn't right, this isn't the way it's supposed to be. I'm not playing that game. I don't want to play that game. That's not my game. That's the bullshit game. None of that's real. I took a red pill probably 25 years ago. I'm 46 years old. Maybe even longer than that. I think I grew up partly with a red pill. My lifestyle as a child was semi-red pilled to start with. I did not have a particularly conventional childhood, though I did have both parents in the house until I was 13. We were self-employed. We went on the road with our business. I saw the U.S. East Coast to the middle of the country, Mississippi River, before I was 10 years old. I saw almost every state. I had all sorts of experiences, met all sorts of different types of people. I became a people watcher and observer of people and their actions, and anyway, basically the idea of this post is just an introduction to what I'm seeing, and if you choose to listen to it, if you're a subscriber, which I only have like 41 subscribers to my page, YouTube, and you happen to decide to watch this, cool. Be sure to hit the bell and get notifications when my videos come out. I'm going to try to start doing some live videos. I'm working on building a studio in my shop. I got a really nice Christmas present of a little camper, and I'm working on building a new studio in it, as well as a art studio, and we'll be doing recordings there in the near future. And I've got to get myself some lighting, obviously, but I have no makeup on. I'm getting ready to go to sleep. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm running on like 2.5 hours sleep from last night. I take care of an elderly relative, and I have to come down really early in the morning on one morning and stay for a couple nights, and it's usually the night that I come down on, or the morning that I come down on, I don't get to go to sleep. Or I get to sleep when I'm here. So last night I only got a couple hours sleep. So if I yawn, I would... Excuse me. I'm going to get off here. But, no, leave comments below. If you have any ideas you want to add to anything I said, or you'd like to talk about a certain topic or discuss something with me, feel free. I would love to have some good conversation with some good people, with some good ideas, who use their minds for logic rather than sucking up sludge from mainstream media. Until then, good night, and stay safe, and stay truthful.